cheerio, bonjour, hello. Okay, so I've already made this video, and you guys all obviously know I'm a boomer, but I tried to make it through iMovie, and I made the whole thing, and I edited out my coughs and stuff. I didn't really have any, but I edited out the one little part I needed to, and I finished the whole video. It was 26 minutes, and it wouldn't go to YouTube. Boomer. Look, remember, I wasn't raised with this kind of stuff, and if you're 30 and watching, which the majority of my viewers are, around 30 to 38, you guys are different. Remember, you're 15 years older. You had all that. When I was a child, I was the remote control for the TV. Me. My little 38-pound body, Dad would say, go change the channel. And I got up and I went and changed the channel. Okay. And then the second thing, so you may or may not know, both of my parents are now passed. My parents were in a terrible car accident in October of 2018. My father was dying from kidney failure. He only had a year left on his dialysis anyway. You have a thing called, starts with an F, flotula or something, but they'll only replace it 3 times. And the third time it fails, you're going to die. That's just what it is. My dad's has been replaced 3 times, and the doctor said, okay, so the next time it fails, you're dying. They happened to be in a car accident. Dad fell asleep while they were driving. Get this. So look at my hair. Oh, my goodness. My parents lived in a town of 600 people. And those kind of towns are completely different of the town that I live in that has 3.5 million people. But there were 2 teenage boys behind my parents. My dad was driving. And up in the mountains, these are country roads. And they actually thought my dad might be drunk. Okay, well, so it was after church. It was 12:30 on a Sunday, and they thought, well, it's unlikely he's drunk, but something's going on, so maybe he is. And these kids skipped their turn. They were to take a right, but they didn't. They continued to follow my dad because they felt like something was wrong. And 1.3 miles later, Dad drove into a ditch. Dad had fallen asleep. And so these boys were able to call police. Both of my parents were airlifted, to the Ohio State Hospital, and it's just luck that I'm wearing this. I didn't even think about this when I did the story. And my father died 5 weeks later. That night, I got the phone call. Here's the funny. So my cell phone rings, and it says Dad, and it's 8:38. Okay, well, 8:38 p.m. My parents are asleep. They go to bed at 8 o'clock. And they go to bed at 8 o'clock by religion. And I pick up the phone and I go, what's going on? It's almost midnight. And it was my father's cousin. And she says, your parents have been in a wreck. We have Rudy the dog, here's Rudy. There's Rudy. The poodle is Rudy. The lab is Oscar. And you need to come up here. So I got in my car, of course, Monday morning, and I drove to Ohio. I drove straight to campus. So I get to campus, and my dad says, did you go get a White Castle? White Castle hamburgers. Unless you're from the Midwest, you don't know what they are. But they're close to heaven. And I looked right at him, and I said, I'll be straight up, Dad. Yep. I stopped and got 6 before I came into the hospital. And my father put his hand up to give me a high five. He was like, that's my girl. That's right. My dad and I once flew to Columbus. If you remember, when I was in college, I worked for the airlines and we flew for free. And my dad and I flew to Columbus to buy a car once. My dad's brother processed the used cars for some dealerships, and he found a Lincoln. My dad wanted a Lincoln. Daddy says, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln. But anyway, so Uncle Sheldon finds this Lincoln. He calls Dad and he goes, I just processed this Lincoln. You need to go buy it. So my father and I fly to Ohio. It was one of the worst flights in our life. It was a J-31, which has 19 passengers, two little pilots in the front. It's got that little curtain separating them. And it was terrible. turbulence. And the man it's 2 seats on one side, 1 seat on this side. And the man on this side of us peed himself, and you could smell it. But I didn't care about that. We all felt badly for him. That, oh my goodness, this grown man just pissed himself in an airplane. I didn't worry about airplanes. I still never worry about airplanes. I turned 280 flights every day and watched them come back. I had no fear of airline travel. You guys know that I turned that flight that crashed in Columbus. It was in December of 1993. You can look it up. United Airlines flight something. I'm sorry, I don't remember it. But the FBI and NTSB were at my door. Look, neither dog freaked out. I thought they both would. Around 10 till 2 in the morning, because I had signed the weight and balance sheet. And they said, look, were there really 38 bags in there? Because they need to find out. What you signed, was that really true? Because unfortunately it does happen. Yeah, it was absolutely true. It ended up being pilot error. And the laws were changed after that because it was a brand new captain, a brand new FO. So you're not allowed to have that anymore. If you have a brand new captain, you must have an experienced FO in the right seat. The captain is the left seat. I don't know if you guys know that. But how did I even get into that? Oh my goodness. So I have 2 more things first. R.W. Pezo, thank you. I didn't write notes about her comment, but her comment was so good that a booger kind of flew out my nose and I had to go get a tissue. And then, I know why I brought this up. So both my parents are dead. My mother died 1 year later. Oh my goodness, I'm all over the place. I'm combobulated. My mother had Alzheimer's. My dad happened to be buried in the cemetery that was directly across the street from my mother's house, or my parents' house. And my mom walked over every day to talk to Dad. And now we have a cat. My dad's name was Floyd. We have that little tuxedo cat. His name is Floyd. And Floyd is cool as shit. Okay, anyway. So I have a second set of parents that are still alive, that have known me since birth. They were my parents' best friends. And so they hear that I have a YouTube channel and they watch it. And I get a message from the mom saying, you say the F word a little bit too much. Maybe you should calm down on your language. And I just found that too funny. Okay, I got to get my shit together. Couple comments that this is a Shannon Watts bash channel. No, it's not. It's a Shannon Watts reality channel. Told you guys that many, many times. The whole reason I am talking to you is because, and yes, Plunder's the only one I can remember. Plunder, whom I love. I think she should write books. She's brilliant. She's great. Plunder never attributed a single problem to Shannon. Everything that happened wrong in the house was Chris. I'm almost thinking that Plunder said one time that had Chris not left the phone on top of the car on Christmas night, you wouldn't have seen this. She's blaming Chris because he left Shannon's phone on top of the car. It's the best way. Hey, remember, I'm a racist, right? Most of you get why I'm saying that. I'm not happy paying $5 in gas. But the very first day that our current president took office, the very first thing he did was shut down domestic oil. So our gas prices have nothing to do with Russia. Okay, I need to chill out so my channel, this video doesn't get banned, because you might be surprised, they're pretty sensitive. Shannon did not allow access to the banking. Okay, we've heard that. In the cop camps, he's like, well, I don't have access to it. It's confirmed in the book. It's been confirmed many times, so that's not a question I have at all. Did she not allow him access to the banking because he sold his four-wheeler for not enough money? Or did she not allow him access to the banking because she did not want him to see that she was committing financial homicide? Whoa, I get really close right there. Oh, look at all those wrinkles in my head. I guess I need some Botox. It's ridiculous. Remember, kids, August 28th. 8. This all happened on August 13th. 15 days. The sheriff was coming to put the chains on the door. And now, I have not actually had that happen. But I did do quite a bit of research when I first found out this happened. And now this has been 2 years ago. But they literally kick you out. They walk in, they knock on your door, and they serve you, and they say, you have 30 minutes to get what you want. And then in 3 days later, you're going to be given a 2 or 3 hour period to get the rest of your stuff. But, at that point, you get 30 minutes. You're the fuck out. Okay, so now, let me just try. First, originally, I'm Shannon Watts. Hey, look at this Thrive. It's fucking great. Oh, ignore Bella sitting on the counter saying, I'm hungry. And Shannon saying, you want a laptop? No, she said she's hungry. Okay, so now I'm Shannon. Changing my whole surroundings. Oh, there's my ring light. You guys bought me that ring light. Thank you. Now I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment telling you to spend $300 a month on Thrive because it's awesome and it'll change your life. But now I'm in my 2-bedroom apartment. I don't have my big fancy kitchen behind me. How's she going to sell that? Seriously. This is really, really crappy to say. But damn, I wish he'd have murdered her 4 weeks later. Okay, well, actually, I don't wish he'd have murdered her at all. But I wish this would have happened 4 weeks later because I would love to have seen how she's going to handle that. I have said that previous comment before, and I'm going to tell you something. I had 15 or 19 people say, amen. Amen, sister. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this is because I'm a boomer. Now, you guys know officially I'm not a boomer. Remember, the most people watching my channel are about 35 years old. Baby boomer came from World War II, ended in 1945. And all the men got home and they started getting busy with their women. And so there was a boom of births from 1946 until 1954. It was huge. And that is called the baby boomers. So that's where baby boomers came from. Hey, here's a side note. University of Kansas, they're the Jayhawks. The Jayhawks were the guys that would cross down up into the Union troops and rape and sodomize the Union troops and rob from them. So the Kansas Jayhawks, that's what the Jayhawks are. But anyway, it's funny how that name doesn't have to be changed. But see, where the hell was I even going with that? I'm gonna just move on. Anyway, boomer. That's where it was. Boomer. Okay, so officially I'm not a boomer. I was born in 1970. Do you guys know after 9/11, September 11th, 2001, 9 months later, over the next year, there was an increase in births? Makes total sense. People were at home, they were feeling emotional, and they ended up getting naked. But anyway, so back to the whole boomer thing. To me, you don't call daycare school. It is what it is. It's daycare. Now, some daycares, they teach things like primary colors and addition and subtraction. Okay, but that's stuff that mom's teaching when you're a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom my entire life. I was very, very fortunate. I don't wash that away to anything. I was very fortunate we were in that situation. But you might be surprised at how much learning goes on. I may have brought this up before, but I was born deaf. And I didn't hear for the first 18 months of my life. So I couldn't say my F's or my T's or my S's or my R's. Do you guys see that? My mouth almost never changes. And I would say, can you hand me a pork? Because can you hand me a fork? Look, it looks almost the same. I got tubes in my ears. In 1972, I was one of the test children for that. My parents had to sign a disclosure that said, if she ends up deaf, we're sorry, but this was just something we were trying, experimental. Well, now they perform, apparently, there's 5,000 tube surgeries performed every day. And do you know that Bella Watts had the tube surgery? I'm surprised Shannon didn't push that. My daughter used to be deaf. It's not a matter of being deaf. You have a little film of skin that grows over the eardrum. That's what happens. And so they put this tube in there that keeps that skin from growing. You remember when you got your ears pierced or you pierced them yourself? I did my second holes myself. We put ice cubes on them and we held it and my girlfriend pushed a needle through it. But I'm getting crazy, aren't I? Okay. Remember, I'm just following the book. So some of this stuff, I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, hey, wait, but I just talked about this. I'm just following the book. And the book that Sherilyn Cadle wrote, remember, Truman Capote, one of the greatest true crime writers in American history. And yeah, that's her. You know, she had to listen to the audio before she approved the audio being released. Isn't it funny that I'm a boomer? I do listen and I do the phone like you listen. Okay. Sherilyn now goes into, it's for 4 sentences about how much money Shannon made selling Thrive. If she sold so much money selling Thrive, why did she have $37,000 of inventory in her basement? Okay, so I have told you all before, there's so many things. I get my